What's up, guys? Welcome to 16 minutes of useless League of Legends information, episode 35. Let's go. Did you know that the fate of League of Legends was actually somewhat determined from an impromptu laptop pitch on the street? OG rioters Mark and Brandon were in San Francisco and essentially chucked a laptop on a newsstand and used it to pitch League of Legends to Steven Snow, who eventually became the executive producer at Riot Games. It's pretty crazy to think that League could have potentially ended right then and there if the random pitch didn't go well. What's equally as crazy is that's what League used to look like. It really makes you think how old this game actually is.
It was clunky, the interface was really bad, the art was really bad, but they'd managed to do more in 3 months than some of these other companies that were paying stupid sums of money, and I was just like, wow, this is actually pretty compelling.
Have you ever wondered how much you play League and when you play League? Well, this app Mobalytics actually does that and tracks the days and times you play, so you can look at how much torture you put yourself through. It can also tell you how much you play and when you won and lost, so who knows, maybe you'll find out you actually win more on a Wednesday. You gotta take every advantage you can, you know? There's also a bunch of other cool stats you can look up on your account. It's like a bunch of stats and info tailored specifically to you. Plus, it tells you the meta champions too. 56.7% win rate, what the frick? Mobalytics also has some great in-game tools too, like CS trackers, summoner spell timers, also a little hub for how much gold you need to buy an item. It's kind of underrated actually. Plus, you can set up a notification from people buy items, which is actually super helpful because it's so easy to forget and it can change the way you lane. Also, Mobalytics is free, so make sure to try it out using my link in the description. And thank you, Mobalytics, for sponsoring this video. Have you ever wondered how many Poros it took to make it from one side of the Howling Abyss to another? Yeah, I didn't really think so, but I'm going to tell you anyways, because according to Riot, the ARAM map is roughly 384 Poros long and 37 Poros wide, meaning you could fit over 14,000 standard Poros in the ARAM map. But this is just for normal sized Poros. As you know, Poros can come in all different sizes, and a fully grown Poro can be 2.35 times bigger than a normal one. With that in mind, you could also cover the entire length of the map with 163 fully fed Poros, and the width of the map with just 16 fully fed Poros. Additionally, you could also fit around 2,600 fed Poros in the map. Listen, some of you guys might fail your next upcoming test, but at least you can tell your teacher how many Poros fit in an ARAM map. So we already know that playing Braum or playing with the Poro Sejuani skin gives you 2 extra Poro snacks when entering ARAM, but did you know that if you take the biscuit delivery rune, you can also get an extra Poro snack when you get the biscuit at 2 minutes. In other words, if you're looking to maximize the amount of Poro stacks you get each ARAM game, all you have to do is play Braum or Poro Rider Sejuani, and then also take the biscuit delivery rune. That way you'll spawn with 2 initially, and then you'll get an extra on top of that at 2 minutes. Plus, if you use Braum's Dragon Slayer skin, you can still give the Poro mustache. Speaking of Dragon Slayer Braum's shield in that was actually inspired by both Deathwing from WoW and the DFS from RuneScape. To say that League used to be run on spaghetti code is probably an understatement. I mean, listen to Riot August explain how Yasuo's wind wall used to work.
So Yasuo's wind wall used to be a bunch of invisible missiles circling the map the entire game, detecting all missiles and cross-referencing their position with wind wall to see if they should be destroyed.
So I mentioned a while ago that one of Echo's scrapped abilities was his ability to rewind the entire map, like objectives, things, and everything. It was obviously a bit OP. And in case you didn't know, another scrapped ability he used to have was the ability to rewind individual champions, basically allies or enemies. As you can imagine, this was pretty versatile. You could potentially save allies or completely yoink champions, especially when they were trying to escape.
It essentially ended up playing out like a more powerful Blitzcrank grab that was targeted and could bring you back to wherever you were running from, regardless of distance. That's including if you used teleport.
In the early days, Akali's Shroud was actually going to be in the shape of an emerging dragon, but it was removed because they thought it was too visually noisy. A while back, Riot officially declared that Yumi's a hypoallergenic cat due to her magical shield. But if we're being real, I think we all have a different kind of allergy to this thing. Smolder's real name is Ignacarius Giganterno Rexlispes Offerentis, but he goes by Smolder for short. Okay, so in case you didn't know, since the start of season 24, Riot released a lot of new in-game champion missions, specifically 7 new ones. And in case you were wondering why these specific champions were picked, it's because most of them have some well-known beef in the lore. So here's a quick speedrun rundown of each of the new missions. Let's start with the first, which is Renekton versus Nasus. Once both of them hit level 11, the quest Bad Blood appears, and the goal is to take the other down while using their ultimate ability. If Nasus wins, he receives this message and receives a buff that helps his ultimate last a bit longer, and then Renekton also receives this message for losing. And on the flip side, if Renekton wins, he receives this message and has his ult last longer. And when Nasus loses, he gets this message. Next is Jax versus Bel'Veth. After Baron arrives and both of them are alive, the quest Fishing in the Lavender Sea is activated, and the first person to take down Baron wins. If Belveth wins, she drops Enhanced Void Coral, and if Jax wins, he gains 5 Lavender stacks of Death and Lavender, and gains an additional 5 stacks each time he gets a takedown on her. And these are the messages they receive when each of them lose. Next is Kindred versus Tryndamere. Once they both hit level 11, the quest Death Defied pops up, and their goal is to take each other down within 15 seconds of them activating their ultimates. This is honestly such a smart mission since both of them have invulnerability ultimates. If Kindred wins, he then receives this message and gets a bonus stack on their passive, and if Tryndamere wins, his W lasts 1 second longer. And these are the messages they each receive when they die or lose. Next, Zed versus Shen. Once they both hit level 11, the quest Battle of Spirit and Shadow pops up, and Shen's goal is to take Zed down before he can kill 2 of his allies next to him. On the flip side, Zed's goal is to take down 2 of Shen's nearby allies without dying to Zed. If Shen succeeds, he gets this message and his key barrier shield increases by 30%. And if Zed wins, he gets this message and his passive will deal an additional 2% of the target's max health. Next is Aatrox versus Kayle and Morgana. Once Aatrox and Kayle are level 11, the quest World Ender will begin, and the goal is to take down each other twice. The difference from the other ones though is that Morgana can also join in on the action, but she can also count towards 2 of the deaths Aatrox needs. If Kayle wins, her ultimate cooldown reduces by 10 seconds and physically becomes larger, and if Morgana succeeds as well, her Black Shield cooldown reduces by 2.5 seconds and becomes larger. If Aatrox wins though, his ult lasts 3 seconds longer and he becomes bigger. If any of them lose though, these are the messages they receive. Aatrox receives this message, this is the message Kayle receives, and this is the message Morgana receives. Second to last, we have Hui versus Jhin. When each of them hit level 12, the quest Golden Ratio begins, where Jhin needs to kill Hui with his Curtain Call, and Hui needs to kill Jhin within 3 seconds of hitting him with his ultimate. If Hui wins, he gets this message and earns 3.33% magic penetration, and if Jhin wins, he gets this message and also earns 4.444 lethality. If Hui loses though, he gets this message, and if Jhin loses, he gets this message. Lastly, and the most recently one added, is Smolder versus Aurelion Sol. Once Smolder and Aurelion Sol hit level 9 and have collected at least 70 stacks, the quest Dragon Horde begins. And both of their goals are simply to take each other down first. But the more stacks either of them get, the bigger the reward becomes. So if Aurelion Sol wins, he gets to cash out on a percentage of the stacks Smolder has. And if Smolder wins, the same thing happens, but for a percentage of the stacks Aurelion Sol has. Also, this is the message Aurelion Sol receives when he loses, and I have to say, out of all the little messages, Aurelion Sol's is probably my favorite. All he says is, well, we were simply playing a game. It's good to make the little ones feel powerful, inspiring the youth and whatnot. And this is the message Smolder gets when he loses, which is also pretty good. Honestly, it's just cool to see Riot finally putting more effort into these kind of things. I mean, I wish they would do more little Easter eggs, but we'll take what we can get at this point. Also, shout out to Vanderl for the footage. Make sure to go check out his videos if you want to see a deeper explanation for each of these. Did you know that while Riot was prepping for the rank Iron and Grandmaster to be added into the game, it actually fully considered wood as an option? I know it's kind of memed on, but I think it's hilarious that they even considered it. Like, actually considered it. They mentioned the 2 main reasons why they didn't, and that's because they wanted it to be a metal for consistency purposes, since all the other ranks were metals, and they also didn't want to alienate people who were actually wood. Which, you know, I get it. It's probably a good call. But you still have to admit, it would have been pretty funny to have people actually be wood for. They were actually considering the rank copper instead of iron as well, but they decided on iron because copper sounded too much like kappa in Japanese, which I guess is a creepy demon looking creature, and in Korean it sounded like a word that meant this stinks. So yeah. One of the things Riot struggles with that no one probably thinks about is their difficulty with finding temporary names for new champions while they're being worked on. This is mostly because the people working on them tend to get attached to those temporary names way too easily. So much so that they've actually been a few times where their temporary names ended up becoming their real name, like Kindred for example. That's right, Kindred was originally a temporary placeholder name, but after production and after testing even a bunch of different other names, they decided to go with Kindred still. Mostly because it made the most sense and because it was a combination between kin and dread. Yeah, I never put that together either. Anyways, I feel like one of the main reasons they try to avoid temporary names becoming permanent is because I'm sure there are some temp names out there that aren't as good. And they don't want the sole reason for people choosing a name to be just because it's become familiar. Some of their solutions to this is to 1, give them a temp name no one can even pronounce, like Zilith, or whatever it looks like to be Roman numeral 13 plus an H, or 2, just to straight up give them a terrible name no one would want to keep. For example, Aurelion Sol's was Heaven's Coil. I will say though, Rioter Warg Bobo was a solid choice for picking someone to come up with names no one could pronounce. Don't forget to sub if you enjoy, puppy, and thank you. I've shown some pretty bad blitz hooks on this channel before, but this is definitely up there. I mean, yeah, I don't really know what to say about that one. I guess hooks can flash now too. A couple of days ago, this Kalista had a pretty nice Xpeke moment. That poor Nocturne is probably never going to live down that missed Q. Apparently, this is what happens when gacha game meets League of Legends. I mean, honestly, it doesn't even look that bad. Plus, the sunglasses coming on when she Qs is a nice touch. Let's be honest, this is probably the kind of skin Barrow actually wanted after winning Worlds. This person was playing Ezreal and managed to steal Drake and then Baron one after the other in about 30 seconds. Honestly, that was pretty sick, but all I can really think about is how much the other team's jungler was probably flaming him, because there's no way they're not letting him have it after that. Okay, this video is kind of insane, even if it is negative ADP quality, but this guy was literally pushing 2 lanes on Yorick and taking Drake at the same time. He put Maiden in mid lane, then went to Drake and dropped his ghouls on it, which is crazy that they can take it on their own, by the way. And then he started splitting bot, maybe playing Farm Simulator, but at least he's on 3x mode. It's honestly insane though, but the only thing that could have made it better is if he had Rift in one of the lanes as well. This is pretty crazy too. I've never even considered this, but this guy died because the Void Might spawned and showed him where he was. Pretty unfortunate. There's a pro Dota player named Mason who tried League for the first time a few months ago, and let's just say his League debut was cut a bit short.
So I'm playing versus bots, right? Crazy, man, crazy. What? I don't understand. Why are the bots so good? Alright, this game's dog shit. I'm quitting this game. This game is so terrible. This game is so bad. I refuse to play this game.
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie, those bots kind of popped off though. The flash exhaust was nutty. Just imagine if he went up against the new AI bots. In 2018, there was a man in China who lost sensation from his waist down after playing League of Legends continuously for 20 hours at an internet cafe. The paramedics had to carry him to the hospital in a stretcher, and the entire time all the guy was doing was begging his friend to finish his ranked game for him so he didn't lose. You know, at least he has his priorities straight. Also, apparently the only reason he found out he had no feeling from his waist below was because he tried to get up and go to the bathroom. Don't you love this game? By the time this video has been posted, Skarner will have officially passed 1,200 days since his last received skin. His latest skin was released November 24th, 2020. I know they're still doing the rework and all, but that's kind of messed up. Gotta get some justice for the Skarner mains out here. In case you didn't know, Nikola Jokic, the 2-time NBA MVP, plays League of Legends. And in one of his recent interviews, he even went over his current top lane champion pool.
League of Legends, and are you top, bottom, or mid lane?
Good job. I'm a top, and I'm playing. Who I'm playing right now? Urgot, Ilawi. I'm gonna say those two.
Funniest thing about this is, for those who don't watch basketball, Jokic is pretty well known for not caring when it comes to basketball. Yeah, I know, he kind of does his own thing. But anyways, because of that, he also, of course, isn't a huge fan of getting asked basketball questions in interviews. So it's pretty funny how his face lit up as soon as he heard a league question instead, because I almost guarantee he'd rather talk about League of Legends than talk about the NBA. This person created the entire Summoner's Rift in a hardcore Minecraft world, which basically means no cheats, which is kind of insane. It does look pretty good though. Did you know that Guma Yushi's dad told him that if he could hit Challenger before middle school was over, he could pursue becoming a pro? But if not, he'd have to choose a different path. Luckily, he managed to do just that and hit Challenger in just 8th grade. Also, it's pretty cool to see how supportive his dad was throughout all this.
중2 때 챌린저를 찍고 나서 학교 선생님, 담임 선생님한테 제가 이제 전화를 해가지고 얘는 이제 프로게이머가 될 거니까 오후 수업 같은 거, 뭐 방과 후 수업.
I mean, this dude is kind of goated. A couple of days ago, G2 scrim results got posted from the winter, and so far they're kind of clapping everyone. Now, I will say they were also doing really good prior to Worlds too, but it does seem like G2 is and will be the powerhouse in the LEC for some time. Also, I like how they scheduled in Anime Fridays. I will say the week of February 11th was a bit of a rough one for BDS. They lost 0-3 on stage versus G2, and then lost 0-7 to them 3 days later in scrims. Coincidentally, this was also around the same time Adam got benched for being toxic, so yeah, it's all making a little more sense now. So there's a player in the LPL on the Rare Adams roster named Nayu, which is fine. Seems like a pretty normal name to have. That is, except when you pair it with Rare Adams' team. You see, all pro players have to have their team's acronym in the front of their name when they play, and it just so happens that RA combined with Nayu looks a little like anal U. I mean, it's not the biggest thing, it's just slightly unfortunate. As the newer generation begins to move into League, I think it's important to remember some of the old iconic League of Legends moments that took place. In this case, Reginald's questionable Twisted Fate game. This one was pretty rough. In this game, they were playing in the NA Spring Split of 2013, and it was Dig versus TSM. To start things off, Reginald teleports to the bottom lane, which looks like a good gank until he gold cards a minion and everyone gets away. Later on, he has a chance for redemption, teleporting to the top lane for a gank, but then he red cards a minion and everyone gets away.
He actually ulting in, and they're gonna go on the left hand side, but he locked a red card here. Will it be enough?
Luckily, he catches Zed out later on and has a chance to get a kill, but puts a blue card up and isn't able to catch Zed.
Trying to get away from Reginald. Reggie locks a blue card. Will it be enough?
And then afterwards, he starts getting chased down by Katarina, but luckily he has a gold card available, but instead he picks a red card and then he ends up dying.
There we go. Reggie taking a bit of pain. He locks a red card. That's not what he wanted to do.
Then he decides to go to bot lane to help defend his turret, which seems fine until he gold cards another minion, gets jumped on by Katarina, tries to escape by flashing over the wall, only to jump straight into the Draven for a free kill. Lastly, in one final team fight, Reginald picks up his red card, flashes in, only to drop the red card on the minions behind him, which honestly looks pretty bad, but at least it pushed the wave and they did win the team fight. Not only that, but they actually even won the game as well, and it was his birthday. Nevertheless, it was definitely an iconic Twisted Fate game. On the note of notable crazy NA plays, it also reminds me of the time when the LCS looked like an iron game back in 2016 with Ren versus Dig. This was when the tower managed to force out a heal and pick up a double kill on Dig. And then only a few seconds later, right when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Ren then went for the Rift Herald, and then the Rift Herald picked up a double kill right back onto Renegades. This was truly peak League of Legends.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Run! Woo!
He's angry!
Wait a minute!
Oh my god!
Another! Wait! Oh my god!
All right, before we leave, I got a joke for you all. Why would no one be able to live with Teemo? Because he doesn't have mushroom. All right, that's it. Don't forget to sub if you enjoyed, and if you have any more info, feel free to send it to outsidejokelol@gmail.com, and I will see you next time. A massive shout out to my amazing, incredible patrons and supporters. We had Gooseman, Set Right, and Hagel, and of course another huge massive shout out to my tier 3 patrons, Stefan and Wolf. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.